We will call this meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock on March 25th. Welcome to the City Tempe Board of Adjustments meeting for March 25th, 2026. The time is 6 p.m. The City of Tempe Board of Adjustments is authorized by the Arizona Revised Statutes and the City of Tempe Zoning Ordinance. Its function is to grant relief where a literal enforcement of the zoning ordinance would result in an unnecessary property hardship, to interpret provisions of the zoning ordinance variances, and to hear appeals from any person or city official aggrieved the decision of a person responsible for the enforcement of the zoning ordinance, zoning administrator, and hearing officer abatements. The board has the City of Tempe Community Development staff summary reports on the items being considered at this meeting and will use these reports in their deliberations. And I'm going to do roll call, starting with the two people online.
Brett Siegel.
Andrea Semeshka.
And then starting
Lily Drosos.
Sean McCarley.
Mary Foy.
Richard Dalton.
Katie Cross.
And staff introductions, I have Jeff Tammy Levitch. Ryan's not here. Diane Kaminsky. Robert Mansolio. Is that bad? Terrible. Mansolillo. Drew Yoakum and Jack Schofield. And Jennifer Daniels, our administrative assistant. And Jeff Wolf is doing media. Jason Wolf is doing media. During the public hearing, all applications and interested citizens, when your request is called or when you wish to address the board, please make sure you have filled out one of the citizen request forms located on the table by the doors. Then step to the microphone and state your name and city of residence. Please submit the form to a staff member before you begin speaking at the microphone. For members of the public, you will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Staff will assist in monitoring time. Also, please note that WebEx chat box is not monitored by staff. First, we're going to do a review of the minutes from last meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those minutes? Any additions or corrections?
I abstained because I wasn't present at the meeting.
Okay. Brett, Andrea?
I don't have any additions or corrections, and I'll have to abstain as well if the vote's called.
I have no additions or corrections.
All right. And do we have a motion to adopt the minutes?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, and all in favor say aye by raising your hand. Andrea, did you say yes or no?
Aye, sorry.
Aye. Sorry, it's all right. All right, so we have 5 and 2 abstentions. All right. And we have one item tonight, an abatement appeal. This is a request for an appeal of an abatement decision for the Kelly residence located at 321 East Beatrice Street. The appellant is Keith Kelly. Is he present? All right. Would you like to come up and make a presentation? Or your argument?
I have a question.
Yes.
Who are the two people that were online?
They are board members that are not physically present. They are only present and appearing online.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I'm not quite sure what the next step in this process is going to be.
Well, give an introduction of who you are and what you're asking the board to do and the facts behind it.
Okay. My name is Keith. My family's had the house since February of 1960. I've never had anything quite like this happen, ever. Here about a year ago, I had two people that moved into the backyard. And it was supposed to be, the wife was supposed to stay just long enough until her husband bonded out of jail. They were two homeless people that me and a friend of mine from church had been working with for about a year. And by that, we just dropped off blankets and sandwiches in the wintertime and cold water and sandwiches in the summertime. That was the extent of it. And then we found out that the county was going to bulldoze this homeless community over here in a county island, and the woman was going to end up living on the street. So Bill asked me if she could move into the backyard until her husband bonded out of jail. And I said, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And so she moved in. Well, it turns out these two people are professional dumpster divers. And the first thing I noticed was in the first 5 days, she's going out and bringing back huge amounts of things that they pulled from alleys. And it starts piling up. And I told her after about 5, 6 days, I said, you can't stay here. So you're turning this place into a nightmare. And she said, no, I'm going to stay here. And I said, well, then I'll go through the process of getting rid of you. And she said, go ahead. She said, why don't you file an eviction notice? She said, I can drag that out for over a year, and it'll cost you a small fortune. You want to pay a licensed process server $125 to serve me in the backyard with a court paper? And it was obvious that this wasn't their first rodeo. They have been through this entire abatement process before, here about 2 years ago at her husband's mom's place when he inherited her property. They did the same thing over there, overloaded it with more junk than you can imagine. And so they weren't there very long, and I was going through the Arizona Revised Statutes, and I came across an item 33-1378, which is how you remove guests from your property, where there's no lease agreement, there's no contract, there's no rent, and you just call up local law enforcement and they come out and escort the people off the property. This is exactly the situation that I was in. Only I go to the city of Tempe and the Tempe police said, oh, well, we don't really like to get involved in things like that, which my stepbrother was a Tempe cop for 23 years, and I can't ever remember him selectively enforcing the law. This was a situation where if they had done their job and escorted these people off the property, I wouldn't be here today, because that nightmare in my backyard never would have happened. And, but it did. Anyway, I turned 70 in January. I'm retired, I'm on a fixed income. I don't have the money to fork out to have an outside crew come in and remove all this stuff. I've removed probably 3/4 of it, but there's still a lot back there. I had something happen on the 25th of February, which I believe was the hearing date for, the original hearing date for where we're at tonight. About 7 p.m., I had a Tempe cop show up, knock on the door. I opened the door and asked if I could help him, and he said, yeah, I'm here with Crystal to get her personal property. What? Like the city of Tempe, they'll hold on to somebody's property for a month, and if you don't pick it up in a month, they dispose of it. It's been 3.5 months since they were escorted off the property. And she brought some guy with her. It wasn't her husband. He had a van, and they start loading stuff. First, I told the cop, I said, well, I'm not going to let her just come in here and start dragging stuff away. They stole so much stuff from me when they were here. I would like to get some of it back, and it's probably in a lot of these boxes and suitcases. There was over 80 suitcases in the backyard, and a lot of it had some of my stuff and a lot of their stuff and everything. And so we go in the backyard, and here's some guy that brought his van I don't know who it is, never seen him before, and the cop just lets him start going through anything he wants in the whole backyard. And I said, well, why don't you start with that junk over there? Let's start with that and move this way. And anyway, we had words, and I guess they were there over an hour, and then they finally took off. But it was kind of upsetting that they just show up without any warning, without a court order, nothing. They just happen to show up when they want to and do what they want. I know at one point, Crystal said that I wasn't allowed in her backyard anymore because I'd come back there and go, hey, you guys need to start getting rid of this stuff. I got another letter from the city of Tempe. And don't tell me what to do. You need to get out of my backyard. They were taking the place over. I think they figured, we've got an old man here. He lives by himself. His wife died about a year ago. And we can do what we want. They tried to poison me twice. I don't know with what, but I know that things like that don't just happen. You don't just get sick as a dog for 2 days and then on the third day you wake up and everything's fine, like nothing ever happened. I was pretty sure that they thought they could do away with me and then just take over the property because nobody would miss me. And that's what they set out to do. AJ, he has a trial coming up here pretty soon. He was arrested for breaking into a construction site, stealing copper. And I mean, these are two of the worst people that you could ever imagine in your city, and yet they were catered to by the Tempe police and that Hope, what is it, Hope 7 or whatever it is. Anyway, that's where we're at now. I want to continue cleaning out the backyard. I got the front yard completely done. They removed the big dumpster this morning. I want to continue what I'm doing until the place is the way it used to be. I can't afford to pay $5,500. I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income. I don't want to spend the next 3 years of my life trying to pay off a lien on the house that was the responsibility of the city of Tempe to take care of these people, get these people off my property.
Mr. Kelly, you're asking for more time. How much more time do you think you need?
Probably a month.
I have a question as well. When did the city first notify you that this was a problem or that there was excessive junk?
I believe it was the first or second week in June.
Thank you.
At that first abatement hearing, there was another home that was involved, and the woman said, you both have had X number of months to take care of this. Well, I hadn't, because they didn't get evicted until November 25th. And even then, they told me, the cop told me when he was escorting them off, he said, you can't touch any of their stuff for at least 5 more days until the opportunity for a civil standby expires, and then you can move their stuff. So all that time.
Mr. Kelly, and when did they come back to get their stuff? What was the date of that you described?
February 25th.
Okay, so they were evicted and they came back on the same day?
3 months later. They came back 3 months and,
February.
yeah.
And let me ask you, so since February 25th of 2026,
Yeah.
correct? Okay. How much of the trash in the backyard, the junk in the backyard have you been able to remove?
Probably 3/4 of it. There's still quite a bit back there.
And what about the car that was up front that was mentioned in the ticket?
That's still there. I want to get that running again. Hopefully, I can get that running real soon.
I have some questions, Mr. Kelly. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah,
On that vehicle, did you get the registration renewed?
no, but I did get the license plate.
Okay, and then do you have any photos or anything of the progress you've made since November 25th?
No, I haven't.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from anybody else?
So after the abatement notice was issued in November, the homeless people were still living in your backyard
Yeah.
until February of this year.
No, they were escorted off on November 25th.
Okay.
That does lead to a question. You had mentioned that civil standby expired 5 days after the eviction.
Yeah.
In that time from November of, well, we'll say 20th, like after the civil standby expired, did you remove any of the stuff between then and the middle, in February 25th when they came to pick it up?
I moved a lot of stuff, a lot. There was more than you could imagine. I mean, just incredible. They were hanging stuff from the 3 trees. I have 3 large trees in the backyard, and there was stuff hanging from there. And I have a large cross in the backyard, and there was stuff hanging from there, going out to the fence.
Thank you.
The code enforcement people did a good job. They kept me informed, and they were really decent to work with. They're not the issue here. The issue is having to take care of something that never should have happened to begin with, and then having to deal with things that crop up, like her coming back and getting her stuff. Some of it.
Okay, and so, Mr. Kelly, all we can deal with is the abatement issue here tonight. And so what I'm understanding is you're asking for maybe 30 more days. I think in your original paperwork, you had asked for 60 more days.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you're asking for at this time. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions before I ask the city to present? All right, Mr. Kelly, you can have a seat. We'll call you back up to rebut after they've presented.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move a little bit closer to your microphone when you're using it. Thank you very much.
All right. Chair Foy, members of the board. For the record, my name is Robert Mansalillo. I'm a senior planner with the Planning Division. And this is a request for an appeal of an abatement decision at 321 East Beatrice Street. And the zoning map, it is in the R16 zoning district, and it is just south of the Tempe-Scottsdale line, east of College Avenue. And so I'm going to just run down some key dates. First, this is the section of the Tempe Municipal Code that's in question. It's section 21-3. It states that it shall be unlawful and a violation of the city code for any person to commit a nuisance or willfully omit to perform any legal duty. And the nuisance includes any one or more of the following conditions. And this basically covers the collection of trash in exposed or covered external areas. It goes through several items that could be collected, and anything that could become a hazard to public health or safety, such as harboring insects, rodents, or vermin. And the subsection shall not be deemed to include items kept in covered bins like trash bins, things like that. So it would be external storage of any of these items. And so we have some images of the property from mid-November of 2025. So this is the front carport area. Again, more of the entry to the front of the home. This is the backyard area. We have a few slides of the backyard. Back shed area. And so some of the key dates of this case, so in June 10th, 2025, Code Compliance received a complaint for people living in the rear yard. And on June 11th, the next day, inspectors found trash and debris in the front, side, and rear yards and the inoperable vehicle in the driveway. And the first notice to comply was mailed to the property owner. On August 15th, there were no changes in the violation, so a civil citation was issued. And on October 9th, the owner pled responsible for the violations and did pay fines, all the fees. On November 14th, the date those images were taken, posted a notice of intent to abate the property since there was no change to the condition. On January 6th, 2026, at the hearing officers meeting, Code Inspector Michael Moreno gave an overview of the case itself, highlighting some of those key dates that were just mentioned. Extensions were given to the property owner at various times. The citation was also issued. The inspector then presented photos taken earlier in that day showcasing the remaining violation on the site. And the property owner provided a status update on the current state of the home and welcomed help from the city to clean up the property. And hearing officer McDonald approved a 180-day open abatement request. And on June 20th, 2026, the applicant filed an appeal of the hearing officer's abatement. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Drew Yoakum, Deputy Director of Community Enhancement, to fill in some of the details.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Foy, members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Drew Yoakum, and I'm the Deputy Community Development Director here with the City of Tempe. I oversee the code compliance staff, and we are tasked with the health and safety and welfare of our residents in our neighborhoods and our neighborhoods. Oftentimes, the cases we deal with, we're not only working with property owners, but we're also managing the community impact of what these violations have. Specifically with the case tonight, as Robert had mentioned, this case originated from a complaint from one of the neighbors. With any complaint that code compliance receives, we're obligated to not only investigate that, but address any violations that come up with the property owners. And throughout the entirety of this case, both the Tempe Police Department and Code Compliance have been receiving numerous complaints for not only the junk, trash, and debris that we're talking about, but the people that were living in the rear yard, the behavior of those people living in the rear yard, the amount of foot traffic coming and going in and out of the house, the backyard, and into the alleyways, both day and night, and the amount of time that it was taking for the city to actually resolve these issues. Just for a conversation, I'm going to present a couple of photos to help frame our conversations before I make a few more points. So, as mentioned, this is a photo taken in August 15th. So this is a couple of months after the case had already started. As you can see, there's a lot of trash and debris throughout the backyard. This is a centralized angle from the backyard looking at the rear of the house. This is a photo from November 14th. As you can see, not only no progress was made, but it's actually gotten worse. This is a photo from January 6th. This is a photo taken the day of the hearing. This was presented to the hearing officer at the hearing, showcasing not only no progress, but again, it was getting worse. And I apologize, I can zoom out a little bit on this. And then finally, this is a photo taken this morning. So this is the state of the current backyard, same angle. As you can see, not only no progress, but now we're also dealing with deteriorated landscape and other violations that have cropped up. As mentioned, this case is about Chapter 21, 3B1. That was the slide that was referenced to you all, showcasing that it is a violation of the Tempe City Code to store things on the exterior of a structure or building. And it is also a violation to have junk, trash, and debris littered throughout an open area. As you can see in the backyard, that's what we're discussing today. Mr. Kelly has talked a little bit about the time this case has been going on and the amount of time that he had to take care of these problems. And as of today, his case has actually been open for 10 months. We're talking specifically 288 days. By comparison, our typical code compliance case allows typically for 30 days for compliance before enforcement action is taken. And our case with Mr. Kelly began on June 10th of 2025 with a 30-day compliance deadline of July 10th. Now, on July 10th, we met with Mr. Kelly on site, noticed that no progress had been made, so we talked to him about next steps. He told us that he was working with the Tempe Police Department, requested an extension, so we gave him till the end of the month. On July 28th, we went to the property again. No progress had been made. Spoke with Mr. Kelly. Asked him what his next steps were. He said the people in the backyard would be leaving soon and he would be able to take care of the junk and debris items. We came back on August 15th. Again, no progress had been made. Contacted the Tempe Police Department. They were unaware of any communication. On that day, we issued Mr. Kelly a citation with a deadline to either dispute that citation or pay the fine after 14 days. On September 2nd, Mr. Kelly did in fact dispute that citation, and this is important why I'm talking about these dates, because when that dispute came about, the court date was actually set for October 9th. What that meant was it was a 55-day extension granted until we could go to court. So it was a 55-day administrative extension where code compliance was not going to take enforcement action until there was a resolution by a judge in court. On November 14th, on October 9th, when we were in court, Mr. Kelly was found responsible for the violations on property. He stated to the judge that he was working on the violations, after which we met with him outside of the courtroom, had another discussion, granted another 1-month extension to try and work with him to get this property into compliance before beginning abatement proceedings. On November 14th, we visited the property. Again, no progress had been made. Actually, it had gotten worse. Talking with Mr. Kelly, we delivered him a notice of intent to abate, explaining not only what was in the notice, but the next steps, the process, what was going to happen. We were going to go to the hearing officer. We were going to go to the hearing to do an abatement. And what we explained to him was this was actually a benefit. This is a solution. This is a tool that the city can help resolve this issue. We can bring him into compliance, reduce the community impact, and kind of help him resolve this hurdle standing in front of him. Because of that notice of intent to abate, though, again, I want to talk about the time, and that was from November 14th to the hearing on January 6th. That's a 53 administrative extension. Again, another 53 days granted to Mr. Kelly to make any sort of progress. Robert went over the minutes from the hearing, and at the hearing officer, I just want to reiterate, Inspector Moreno presented the details of the case, stating that at the time of the hearing, the case had already been open for 7 months. He presented photos the day of the hearing showcasing not only no progress had been made, but it had gotten worse. Discussed the numerous conversations that not only ourselves, but other city employees across Tempe PD, code compliance management, and supervisors had with Mr. Kelly, talking about solutions, resolutions, and how to work with him to solve this. Mr. Kelly gave his presentation, providing a status update. He had the intent to continue working on the problem. Welcomed any help from the city, so the hearing officer granted that 180-day open abatement, explaining to Mr. Kelly that he would still have a 2-week appeal period, another 2 weeks where he could work on that, work with us if he had any questions. Before that 2-week appeal period ended, however, on January 20th, Mr. Kelly did submit his written appeal. In that written appeal, he stated, I wanted an additional 60 days to resolve this issue. From January 20th to today, we are now on day 63. And you can see from the photos today, we still have no progress. During the course of this case, Mr. Kelly has received several extensions from code compliance, totaling 258 extra days beyond the compliance date of July 10th that we typically allow people to clean up this property. Mr. Kelly did discuss a little bit about his communications with the Tempe Police Department. I do want to say, to pretty much make a quick point, I feel like I'd be remiss in my duties if I let the assumption stand that the Tempe Police Department is not doing their job correctly. Mr. Kelly was provided clear and consistent communication by several different people on several different occasions throughout the course of this case, not only from the code compliance staff, not only from CARE 7 staff, not only from the Tempe Police Department and the courts during our court hearing, that this is not a trespassing issue, this is an eviction issue. The Tempe Police Department do not oversee evictions. This is not a trespassing issue because Mr. Kelly invited these individuals to live in his property. They used his property as a mailing address. Money and services were given in exchange for their residency, and they were allowed access to the home and shower to do laundry. So therefore, it is not a trespassing issue, it is an eviction issue. At this time, no eviction process was ever filed by Mr. Kelly. He did not go through that process. The individuals did leave after, again, on multiple occasions. If he did not want to do that, the City of Tempe Police recommended an order of protection, which Mr. Kelly finally did do in November. It's over the counter, and once that was done, the Tempe Police did serve that order of protection notice, and the individuals were removed. In conclusion, though, I just want to make sure Mr. Kelly and the board, everybody here understands that the abatement process is not something that we use to punish residents or individuals. This is something we use to encourage and assist people to come into compliance. This is something that we utilize as a tool for a resolution, not only for Mr. Kelly, but we also have an obligation to the community, the impact that this property has had as well. Mr. Kelly himself today did ask you for a 30-day appeal window. If this appeal was upheld, we're okay. Or if this appeal was granted, we're okay with working again for another 30 days. That is not something that code compliance is against. We want resolution. We want to work with them. If the appeal is denied, we would give them 30 days anyways. There is a 30-day appeal period, and as I discussed already, we have administrative extensions for waiting for these processes. So if it was denied, he would still get 30 days until that appeal period is over. And I'm open for any questions you may have about code compliance or Tempe PD.
Any questions?
When going to pay for the abatement, how does that process work? Is it like a monthly payment that someone makes, or is it pay in full, and if not, interest starts accruing on it?
Yeah, great question. I appreciate that. So a couple of options to them. So once the abatement is concluded, so a city-approved vetted contractor goes onto the property, remedies the situation. We then give the invoice to the property owner. They have a set amount of time to pay that invoice with no penalties, no fees in full. If they don't, they can let it go as a lien on the property. It does accrue interest, but then they can take care of it at their own time. So sometimes people can't have the money right now and they need time to work on it. It gives them that flexibility.
And what is the interest rate?
I'm not actually sure the math on the interest rate. It is accrued daily, but I'm not sure what the percentage is. I apologize.
Okay.
A comment I have is when Mr. Kelly was talking up here, he had basically said, can I have 30 more days? And whether we grant the appeal or deny the appeal, he's going to get 30 days anyway. So it seems like this could resolve itself. I mean, if I'm hearing everything correctly.
That is correct. If you grant the appeal for 30 days, then we would be in the same boat, and we would appreciate that, another opportunity to work with Mr. Kelly to resolve this.
Because it definitely sounds like the city's working with them
Doing
from where I'm sitting.
doing our best, but we do have to keep in mind the community impact as well. So
Sure, understand.
Brett?
Can we see that photo again? The photo most recently taken of the property?
One second, I need to tell my, oh, you got it. There you go.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Andrea?
No questions, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just for my clarification again, the reason the two people in the rear yard left on November 20th was not per eviction, but for order of protection?
that is correct. So an order of protection was actually served on those individuals where they were required to be removed from the property. They do have an ability to contest that in court, but actually it took two times. The first order of protection, they did contest. Mr. Kelly did not show up to court to actually follow that through, so it was quashed. He had to do it a second time. And then on that time, they never fought it, so they left the property.
Thank you.
And the order of protection, that's for 2 years, correct, in effect?
That sounds correct, yeah, 2 years, yes.
Okay, thank you. And after the 2 years, they can come back because there's no order of protection, probably.
They could, but at that time, they would have lost their status of residency unless reestablishing it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Yokel. Mr. Kelly, do you have any rebuttal at this time?
It wasn't the City of Tempe Police Department that suggested the order of protection. I went through the county to get it because I couldn't get anything done through the City of Tempe Police Department. They didn't like to get involved in stuff like this. If you read the Arizona Revised Statute 33-1378, you will see that it was exactly the kind of situation that I was in. They just didn't want to get involved. But they got involved later on. You'd have to understand these two people that were in the backyard. One of them has been in the sex industry since she was 18, topless bars for 6 years, and then some other stuff. And the other one's a career criminal. He was part of the Outlaws motorcycle gang. In 2012, he was sent to prison for a shooting down here on the freeway. These are not nice people. They're not. And it's just a shame that things had got to this point. I couldn't believe that they wouldn't escort him off the property back in May when I first contacted him. It was exactly the kind of situation. And then if you look at, oh, you'll have to get an eviction notice, you'll have to go through the eviction process, and everything was landlord, tenant, rent. None of that applied to us, to me. I'm not a landlord. They're not tenants. They should have escorted. Pardon?
I don't mean to cut you off. I just have a couple quick questions for you about the issue that we're here to address. Can you tell us what was going on from the point that you had them evicted from your property to I guess January 6th, and then what happened after, or excuse me, not January, in January when you had the abatement decision? How come progress hasn't been made?
A lot of progress has been made. The pictures that were taken, there was twice as much stuff there. The ones that they took in August, they brought in double the amount of stuff that was in the pictures from August. They brought in double the amount. When they escorted them off the property the second time, I said, hey, check this out. They went and got this morning. This wasn't here this morning. Look at this. I showed the cop, and he's like, oh, okay. A lot has been removed from the backyard. You wouldn't believe the sheer amount of stuff that was back there. And they're stealing my stuff as they go along. There's two of them, one of me. I take off, one of them keeps point, and the other one starts rummaging through everything in the house. A lot of my stuff came up missing. Some of it I've gotten back because I found it in the boxes of their stuff that they were getting ready to take.
Mr. Kelly, I hate to interrupt you, but I do have a specific question. So we saw a picture from January 6th, which was the abatement hearing, where there was a lot of stuff. The people had not been there since November 25th, I believe. There was just as much junk as the picture we saw from the last hearing from November. So from January 6th to when the people came with the sheriffs to remove stuff, and I think February 25th, you said?
Yeah.
Was there stuff added, or was it the same? And then once they removed their stuff from February 25th to today, there just doesn't seem a huge difference between the January 6th picture and the picture they took today. That they're removing their own stuff, and then you're saying you did 3/4 or 3/4 of the stuff. It doesn't seem that big of a difference to my eyes. So can you explain to me what you did during that time as far as removing items from the yard, front, back, especially the backyard, because we have pictures of those?
I got rid of a lot of stuff. The front yard looks great. Everything that was on the front yard's gone. The truck is still there, but everything else is gone. It looks really good. Something else that you don't see is the storage section along the east side of the house, which is probably about 30 feet long, 30 by 12 feet, I guess. They had that up over 6 feet all the way down and stuff. Like I said, there was over 80 suitcases. A lot of the stuff that had value, I took to the thrift stores, and I had some of my friends that would haul stuff down there to the thrift stores. Right now, if you look in the backyard, you'll see probably 15 bins and tubs with lids, you know, the plastic ones. You see probably 30 of those, and they're empty. I was going to load them up with stuff that was valuable and run them down to the thrift stores. I think we live in a throwaway society. I think it's a sin to throw away valuable stuff.
Right, but you're asking us to give you 30 more days, and as you've heard from Mr. Yocum, that if we deny it or grant it, you're going to get 30 more days, right? My question and my concern is that going to be enough? Are you going to be able to do that in 30 days to take all that stuff that's still there in the backyard? Are you going to be able to clean it up and become in the compliance?
If I don't break any more ribs, I will. That actually happened here 2 months ago. I will give it my best. I got kind of screwed this week because the temperature was up over 100 degrees, and it takes a toll on you. I'm not as fast as I used to be, not as strong as I used to be.
I have a question. Where is the stuff that doesn't have value going? Like you're saying anything that has value, you're loading up and taking to the thrift store. Where did the other stuff go that didn't have value?
It went into the dumpsters that I rented from the city of Tempe. They removed one this morning, and it was about half full, all the way down. I've rented them 4 times since November. There's been a lot of stuff go out, but it's just such an incredible amount of stuff. It was like the stuff hanging from the trees. There were these cloth things that were 6, 8 feet tall, and they had pockets on both sides, and they had them strung up in the trees. And they had them loaded with all kinds of stuff.
So I do understand and I do feel for where you're coming from with having squatters in your backyard. I do, however, agree with the city that this is a good way to get the backyard cleaned up because it is a nuisance to residents. They've complained about it. And as not great as it is, I would recommend trying to get it cleaned up with the dumpster, maybe friends from church if they could help. There's an app called TaskRabbit where you can rent people for $20 an hour. And I know that'd be a lot cheaper, but I do think that the abatement needs to happen for the residents in the neighborhood.
One of the people that's complained is a guy that lives across the street that wants to move his friend into my house. And we got into a discussion here a while back. He was blaming me for all the dumpster divers in the neighborhood. And I said, no, dumpster divers in the neighborhood don't come in because of me. They come in because you guys throw away valuable stuff. That's what they're here for. That's what they come in for. You want them to not come into the neighborhood anymore? Don't throw away valuable stuff. Get off your lazy ass and take it to the thrift store. That's what they would do.
Does anybody have any other questions before we break for discussion? Brett? Andrea?
I don't.
No questions.
Right. Thank you for your presentation. We're going to break for discussion amongst the board.
Okay, I would like to say one other thing.
Sure, of course.
All the way up through November 25th, I wasn't allowed to touch anything according to the Tempe police. They said if I tried to remove anything, I could be charged with theft, taking these people's stuff, and I could possibly be sued. They protected them all the way down. And a lot of the stuff, I know they were stealing from other people. 80 suitcases, a lot of them were the hard shell kind, and the others were the fabric kind. At least 80. Most of those ended up going to the Salvation Army, which is about a half mile from the house. Just an incredible amount of stuff. I did recover some of my stuff that had come up missing. I did get some of that back, not all of it, but some of it. Anyway, so you want to take a recess or something?
I have a comment about the notices from the police. Were you given any type of notice in writing? Did they serve you with a letter or give you a ticket or say anything that said specifically you cannot remove stuff that is the property of your tenants or the property of your squatters or anything.
Nope.
Like, they give you nothing, I mean, that was all communicated verbally?
The only thing I got from them was that, and it was the police officer's name. That was it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
You're welcome.
We're going to discuss among ourselves. You can just have a seat.
Okay.
And we'll render our decision. All right, open discussion. Does anybody have anything to say?
While we're here and we heard Mr. Kelly's story, our focus is exclusively the abatement. And that's where our authority starts and stops.
That's
Is
correct.
the abatement. And any of the circumstances behind it aren't truly relevant to the abatement. I mean, we just, when it comes to that, we have to deal with the facts that are there. The stuff is present and we see it.
That's correct. We're here to deal with the abatement. And so the question is, do we deny the appeal or do we grant the appeal? And from what we've heard today, either way, he's going to get 30 extra days. Go ahead.
Like you said, either way, if we grant or deny the appeal, he'll have the 30 days. I think that denying the appeal would give us the guarantee that this is going to get cleaned up, so it no longer is an issue for the neighborhood and the community.
I would agree with that. That's my opinion as well. And
Yeah, I would say the same thing, because the question I was going to pose is, what happens if the appeal is granted, the 30 days is given, and then that's just another 30-day administrative extension, and we're right back here again, is my thought on the matter. So, I mean, if the resident, Mr. Kelly's asking for 30 days, the city is going to give him 30 days regardless of which way we go, then maybe denying the appeal would guarantee that that's going to happen in those 30 days.
Brett, Andrew, do you have anything to add?
I agree with what's been said. It's an unfortunate circumstance, but given the amount of time he's had since they've been evicted from the property, I think he's had a sufficient amount of time to get the problems resolved. And denying the appeal guarantees that it's taken care of.
I think Brett said it perfectly.
I do too. Do we have a motion on the floor?
I motion to deny the appeal. PL.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor of denying the appeal, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. None opposed? Motion passed. The appeal is denied. Thank you. Are there any chair or staff updates that need to be announced? Then I will adjourn the meeting at 6:48. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.